Hello fun, Jamdbar here and welcome back to my series Jamdbar Rambles, where I could talk about anything that inspired me or which I've just recently seen which I thought was good or which I have an opinion on. So this episode is going to be about the short anime horror film called Midway. The first thing that comes to mind really about it is how really to classify this, because it's kind of horror, but it's kind of there's a lot of nudity in it, but that's kind of a thing I like about it, how it combines these two things and creates something quite interesting out of it, which I admired and thought it was quite good at doing that. When watching the film, I noticed that the art in the film, while being quite grotesque, was also quite artistic, in the sense of there's a lot happening, there's a lot artistically in the animation and how it's presented, and the art itself and how because the characters, they could be fusing together and stuff. It's very interesting with how the art's done, even if if you pay attention to the story, it's quite grotesque and unnerving. It's definitely very unnerving. It reminds me of Silent Hill a bit, with the kind of atmosphere it presents and creates. So that's one thing I liked about it, was how the atmosphere is very Silent Hill-esque. It's very ambient, it's very surreal. Surreal is one word that definitely comes in mind when describing this. It's quite out there. It doesn't have any rules against what it's not going to do. It does everything. It just keeps going and going. To build upon my points about the art and the animation, I definitely think any fan of work from Junji Ito or artists like him in that lane would definitely kind of like this short film, because there's a lot of body horror in it, and the body horror works very well. It's portrayed by the very interesting animation, to say the least. Hello fun, Jamdbar here, and I just wanted to build upon the point of how the art's presented. This is literally recorded one day after, because I was looking at some of the footage of the show and a couple thoughts also came into my head. Building upon the connection to Junji Ito's art, I feel it's definitely very similar in the sense of everything everything has a sense of horror or looks unnerving. The character designs, the buildings, the atmosphere, it's all unnerving, it's all surreal, it's all horror, which I definitely like about it. It's also like Junji Ito's art, it's quite stylized, especially in the colour palette. The colour's very vibrant, it stands out a lot. And it makes you're engulfed in its kind of how it looks, because there's nothing really looking like this, at least I haven't seen every anime of course, but I haven't seen anything that really looks this kind of style, which makes it very special to me, I guess. But yeah, that's one point I wanted to make about this. The art, kind of how it's surreal and how it's unnerving, that kind of translates very well to the story and what happens in the plot. The only problem I really find in the movie is that I wish it would have been a bit longer, so that there could be more development for some of the characters. Because near the end you're shown that the monster characters, and they're kind of being presented as being oh yeah, they're okay. When in the whole film, if you watch it, they're all doing terrible things to this girl, which is kind of oh yeah, bye. It doesn't seem to be affected by any of it. But I guess that might be the mental trauma that kind of made her used to it. But that's one part. Maybe if if the characters were expanded upon and we got to know more about them, we could have more sympathise with them, I guess, or empathise with them. There's one scene which comes up, for example, where midway she finds 3 white puppies in a box, stray puppies assumedly, and she leaves them under the house, because she knows that if the circus finds them, then they're going to eat them. So she puts them on there and she starts to feed them. What she doesn't know is one of the people from the circus, Cannabon, actually saw her doing this, and so she gets the box out, she throws one of the puppies on the floor, and it smashes into the floor. It's very gory, this, I forgot to say. It's very gory. It completely the guts burst out, the eyes burst out. It's terrible, and she does it to all of them. She whips them, she kills them. It's just disturbing, definitely, but it's funny reflecting on it. But anyway. However, building upon this story, I do think you have to give credit where credit's due, as creator Hiroshi Harada actually spent 5 years on this, and so it's kind of and he did it entirely himself. All the art, everything was entirely by himself, so you do have to give credit where credit's due, obviously. But I just thought that's really just the only flaw I really have with it. I wish they would have built upon I wish he could have found a way to build upon the characters while finding a way to work around the problems he was having probably while making it. But that being said though, it is still a very good film, and I feel my criticism is definitely it's valid. I do feel it can be certainly to an extent applied to a lot of films, in the sense of like you always want a bit more from it, but I feel like it would have helped the end experience a bit more. While like the animation can be quite limited at times, I do find that this can help you to kind of take in the scenes more, like especially at the murder scene of like Wonder. I can't remember his second name, but I know his first name was Wonder. At the murder scene, it's very slow, it's kind of slow paced, but the limited animation helps to add to the kind of sense of suspense. There's lots of suspense in that scene where like a thief's pulling out with like a knife and is going towards him, but the slow animation makes it look like he's just gliding. But that kind of worked for it very well, I found. So I feel like he was able to use the animation, like it can be limited at times. He was able to use it to its advantage to create an effect to make it seem quite surreal and to add to the ambience. Apart from this scene, I'd also argue that the limited animation helps to bring out the body horror a lot more, as you can focus on what's happening and the actual physique of the bodies kind of contorting, and which I thought helped benefit it a lot. But to go further from this, one scene which I found that it was creative and how it's portrayed and done was the end scene where Midori is surrounded by white, complete white background. It was like pink ghosts, I think, pink, purple, transparent ghosts. Well, not ghosts, but I think spirits it suggested. But they're kind of like they're mocking her, they're laughing at her because who she was going to leave with was one. His name was Wonder. He gets stabbed by like a thief, and then she just kind of left there like for a while wondering where he went. And then a bit of limited animation, you can see she's going through the city again. I think this happens like 4 times. It's looped, but it's looped very well, and it doesn't come off cheesy to me. It comes off very like creative use of animation to highlight where she's kind of like going, where did we go, what happened, we're meant to be going, we're meant to be leaving. But then so like at the end scene they're mocking her, but then the spirits eventually leave and she's just left in like it's quite a ambient scene. The end scene is quite disturbing, it's quite chilling, but I thought it's also quite creative how it's done, where it's just white, complete white behind her, and then she's just crying in the middle, and it's all just, it's disturbing. But I like how it's kind of ended that way instead of another way, where there's literally no hope in it. Like it ends at the bottom of the hole. I kind of like how it didn't get better. I was hoping it would get better, like her situation, but it just got worse and worse. She was going down, it just goes downhill and she don't get up. And it just ends like that. Apart from this, I also thought I'd mention the music because I thought that worked very well too. It's very ambient. It's like everything in this kind of film, it all complements each other very well. It's a very ambient, very like surreal soundtrack, but it's very catchy too. You can kind of the track played at the end. You can kind of move to. You can get in the groove to. However, all this said though, I'm not sure if I'd recommend it to everyone as well. I think the art's quite, it can definitely be quite like shocking sometimes, but I wouldn't say it's too shocking, at least to me, or maybe I'm just so desensitized to these things that it doesn't affect me anymore. But I feel like the plot story, that's the part that really kind of like turn people off, so I wouldn't recommend this to everyone because the plot's quite disturbing from time to time, and in conclusion, I thought it was very good. I thought how the animation was used and how everything complements each other worked very well, and I think I'll just leave it there. It's very good. It took them 5 years to make, so I'm glad it turned out very good. I enjoyed it very much, and it's very admirable how he was able to put it all together for himself, but he ended up with quite a good product.